Hello, and welcome to another edition of the New Watchers on the Wall. This our first video of the year?
No,
Okay.
no.
Actually, it is the first video. We filmed some videos before the end of the new year, and then we put them out because we have the interviews, right?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. And today we're talking Earth to Buys. Some of our subscribers was like, "Yo, y'all didn't do the last video on Earth to Buys, even though we interviewed Jorge, who is a character from the show." But we
you guys
wanted,
felt abandoned.
yes, but we brought our guest panel with us today. Dr. Carter, say what's up to the people.
Greetings, everyone.
And our boy LA, what's good, brother?
I'm afraid.
What's good?
She. Golly, we always press the wrong button.
Can we get a marker and just like
What is it? Shit.
Yes, we always mess up and press the wrong button. But we want to talk about Earth to Buys because we did not do a final video on the episode or the show. And I think it does make sense to go ahead and wrap it up neatly with a bow for us to discuss the show. But let's just start off before we get into the actual show, what we like, what we didn't like, all of that in our overall rating of the show. What was your standout moment from the show? You guys go ahead. What was a standout moment that still sticks with you so far?
I can go jump in. The mountain lion attack, to me, that was some real Revenant type stuff, when he got attacked by the bear. And so I was really, before you go to, I guess, into my gripes about the show, I was really just expecting to see more ramifications, more repercussions from that attack. But we didn't.
That attack was interesting to me for a couple of different reasons. And Carter and I was talking about this before, was they were running around pretty willy-nilly because the animals are kind of all over the place. And it was you, Carter. We were talking about, we were like, every adult in that compound should have always had a firearm on their hip because you don't know what kind of animal could come through the brush or the bushes or whatever the case may be. So that was definitely an interesting scene. We also saw during that scene, what was the girl that doesn't talk? What was her name?
I cannot remember any of the characters' names at the moment.
Oh my god!
Oh, you the worst.
I'm like 3 weeks removed from the show.
Right? But that was the first time we saw her scream or talk in right. The show got started when when Ish was getting towed up by the mountain lion.
Yeah.
How about you, Dr. Carter? What was one of your standout moments?
I think I have to concur with LA. I think the mountain lion mauling main character was one of my moments. It brought some excitement, but it was full of a whole lot of holes in it. He should have been walking around there with a half a body at this point, and he healed very quickly like Wolverine. I don't know if he got adamantium and something in him. He's a super soldier.
Well,
but it was out of the norm of reality.
Well, that goes to my one of my main gripes about the show is just the time jumps. So they just jumped. They kind of just skipped over his healing process. So it seems like it was instantaneous, but they like jumped 7 years or something right after the mountain lion attack.
I mean, even with the healing process, he should have been walking like a pimp because
you would think so.
That mountain lion had a big chunk in here. He was walking like he should have been walking with a limp
for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hurt my back picking up the kids 6 years ago, and I still walk different.
Facts.
Yeah, I definitely think that the time jumps are jarring. I feel like the show would have benefited from having like more than one season because I mean
or more episodes so they don't have to
more episodes, right?
Yeah,
maybe.
If they gave us, let's say, 10 episodes, now you don't every episode it was like they jump. But let's not get too much to the gripes just yet. But if you're watching, what was one of your standout moments as an audience? Leave a comment below because we want to hear what you guys got to say. What you want to give yours, Candace, or you want me to give mine?
Okay, so one of mine's was are we talking about the whole show?
The season, the entire season.
Oh, okay. So I have so many. Okay, so when Emma has the baby. That was like, wow, like they really went there. I thought it was just interesting to see somebody actually give birth in something like, post-apocalyptic. There's no drugs, there's no hospitals. Ish doesn't know what he's doing. He's very much a bookish guy and is not really uh you know can work around trying to like be a midwife basically
Yeah,
to
it was
Emma.
crazy.
I do
And
appreciate that.
Emma's had multiple children, so she knew kind of, how to go about having the baby, but things could have went left, but she told him like, I need you, like snap out of it. Like
Mhm.
you can't jump in a book right now. Just, let your instincts as a
Yeah,
father, help me out here, cuz like I'm about to die.
yeah.
Like,
She's like,
you
help a
know.
brother out.
Oh, and then the whole vibe of the season just changed when the bus appeared.
Yes,
And yeah, so those were my big things.
yeah. So I got a lot, but I'm gonna just get my two quickly for the second time and all of that. Definitely that rat scene, right?
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say
didn't
the rats is another one too. The
Yeah,
animals in general.
yeah. He said animals and shit. But that rat scene, like, I remember when that happened. I was like, first of all, the damn dog was outside. I'm like, how y'all leave the dog outside?
Oh, poor Lucky.
And then it was just crazy how those rats were just everywhere. But I still remember that moment because all I could think about was, why are you wasting all of your bullets to try to shoot these little rats and stuff like that? Because in my mind, I'm like, you're gonna run out of bullets. You
Yep.
need these bullets. It's post-apocalyptic. You don't know who's gonna come. You need
Right.
every round of ammo. So
That was silly to me. But again, like rats can do some damage.
they
Like
can.
they can to the human, I mean, to
Rats ain't
anything.
that.
So I can see why that seemed like to be something that we need to kill these little critters.
Yeah. And then the next one, I'm posing this question to y'all because I want to know what y'all think, audience, and then Dr. Carter in LA. My other scene had to be when they were around that round table and they were trying to decide what they were going to do after whatchamacallit was sexually assaulted. Evie was sexually assaulted. You remember they was all in that table like, what are we going to do? Are we going to kill this guy? And that scene sticks with me so much. And we talked with Jorge in detail about that scene. If you haven't seen our interview with Jorge from the show,
or Rodrigo Fernandez,
yes, you guys got to check it out.
Jorge.
It was a great conversation that we had. It's on the channel. But Carter in LA, what were you guys' thoughts about that when Evie was sexually assaulted and they were trying to decide what was going to happen? And Jorge was like, I don't think we want to kill anybody. What did y'all think? I got to get y'all opinions. And then you guys are individuals that have children too, right? You guys have children.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Doc.
I think I think justice should have been exacted immediately. It shouldn't have been this long discussion because they didn't have really the resources to incarcerate someone. They didn't have the people power for somebody to be a correction officer and watch this person. The option of letting him go like they did the other character and putting him and banishing him would not been effective because he was hell bent on taking over their territory. It should have been an immediate termination of his life because of what he did. He took advantage of this young lady and he had the intentions of taking advantage of everyone else. So I just think that trying to be civil in a situation like that, you have to make a decision to purge yourself and your community of any immediate threat.
Right, I agree. Once the mores of society disintegrate, then we live by new rules now, and that's what is it? Hand for a hand, eye for an eye, whatever. Pay me my pound of flesh. I'm about it.
I definitely can see now that I've seen the whole season and it can marinate. How Jorge could come to that conclusion. Also, Ish dealing with his hesitancy about doing it. He didn't want that. He was afraid that something was going to come back on them from actually doing that. And
You talking about Ish or Jorge?
Did Ish hesitate? I don't remember. I didn't think he hesitated.
I thought Ish was down with the cause.
Right.
The only person that was not wanting to do it was Rodrigo. I thought
it was Jorge. Yeah, he was the only one kind of
Jorge.
When he was about to do it, I think he did have some.
Well, I know he's dealt with a little bit of repercussions afterwards.
Well,
He
yeah,
was kind of shaking.
afterwards. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. It's been so long since I.
But he was like, "Yo, this dude got to go," and then he did it fast.
Yeah,
I was proud of him.
Yeah, I was that was one of my scenes too, because I was so happy that Ish actually was the person that inflicted justice. Because especially, go ahead, Carter.
I think, you know, with Candace, Ish had some reservation at first because he was questioning his humanity. It wasn't until he actually confronted the guy, and the guy continued to make threats and was letting him know, I will do some harm to not just her, but I'll do some harm to your family. And that's when Ish got triggered and said, you know what, you know, being civil is out of the you know, the window, and I'm going after this guy. But he did have some reservation, because he was seeing it as they were descending into savagery as a community. And so, but it wasn't until the guy, when he confronted the guy, and the guy pretty much punked him out and saying, hey, I'll just not only take her, but I'll bust your wife chair or something like that.
He was not being subtle. He was not being subtle at all.
And that's when he said, okay, I got to take this guy out.
It's kind of like he didn't, maybe they didn't go far enough. Maybe everybody who's implicated in what happened needed to go as well. Like, as far as the guy that they let go, what was his name? I don't know.
Oh, the one that
like
they let
watching
go.
the door.
I think the knife under the thing.
I think they should have dealt with him the same way, because I mean, it ended up coming back on them. And also, why would you want a guy like that who's complicit in a rape to be out into the world? Like, you're not doing humanity any service for.
I think he was saying that he was also a victim, pretty much. He, like, the other guy was punking him too.
But I agree with like what you're saying, Candace, because having him run around, you didn't, not that I wasn't necessarily afraid that he was necessarily a threat, but what if my mindset was, what if he connected with other people? And then now he could tell them, hey, I know what I know where a compound is. They got food, they got women. I know about their defenses. And that's why I said they should have just handled him too.
But that's not what happened. But he ended up killing
one of their children from the
compound when they were out on their like college adventure. That's what I call it.
So what did y'all let's talk about that real quick, that college adventure, because I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about that. And then I want to then transition to maybe some of the things that we would have liked to see improved in our overall season rating. But what did y'all think about them allowing their children to go on that damn road trip solo dolo?
I honestly don't think they could stop them.
Yeah.
I just think it's something you have to just trust in them and let them go venture out. You can't stop them. If it's not this year, they're going to want to go out the year after or the year after.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen. And it was better that they went now than later, you know. I just feel like they've had the experience of going off to college and living life independently and figuring things out as part of your development. You know, that wanderlust, when you become that age, you want to go explore. You want to break away from family and kind of see what life is about without, you know. So it was bound to happen. I mean, at least they had each other, and they left with some skills. You know, they left with some skills. They knew, well, she knew how to hunt, you know, and survive.
They didn't. I gotta disagree with you. To me, they didn't have no skill. That's how they got was you should always have your firearm on you.
Boy,
they got because they're foraging. They leave the gun in the tent. They see this weird dude in the forest. She runs back. She tries to find her firearm. It looks like she's struggling to find it, and maybe it was removed. She turns around, and oh boy has a knife in her boyfriend's throat. And then from that point, it was all downhill. And
I don't think that was a lack of protection, like firearm protection. It's probably more they're just real naive, or you know, half of their family is, or like their mom wanted to embrace people and let people in and not be so standoffish. Where Ish would probably second guess every person and everything that walks past them.
But that's why they had no damn business being out there, because just like what you were saying, it's like when you get ready to send your kid off to college, you got to make sure you prepare them as much as possible, not just academically,
but you do.
But how
you think that you're preparing them. Like right now, we're thinking that we are giving Jam every kind of but there's always you're always gonna miss something.
But Ish and them should have known that their kids grew up in a world that was completely different than what Ish and them grew up in, where they had to try to discern people's intentions. They grew up in a bubble. To me, that reminded me of like people who homeschool their kids and they don't go nowhere, and then all of a sudden you just throw them to the world. They don't know what to expect from the real world and who has their best interests at heart, because they lived in this bubble with distorted perceptions of how people really react and engage with people.
At the end of the day, if they wouldn't have gave those kids their blessings, they would have just left in the middle of the night.
But I agree with Patrick. I think it was too many unknowns. Ish them had not even ventured out beyond the confines of their secured area, and to send your children out there into the unknown world was just a lack of responsibility on their part. They didn't know what dangers that their children were going to encounter. And these children were not schooled in navigation. They didn't know anything about the condition of the roads or conditions of any other things when they encountered other cities and other people. So I think that there should have been in my opinion, it should have been an adult expedition first to see what is the safety of maybe a 10 to 15 mile radius away from our camp. But to send them out there to the world and living in the woods and all of that, I'm surprised they didn't get eaten by a mountain lion themselves. I'm surprised they didn't end up barefoot themselves.
They didn't say how old they were, but like to me, they kind of gave me that vibe, but they was definitely less than 20. But piggybacking off of what Carter said, like there was a couple of things about that whole scene that just like what you said. First of all, if there's no humanity going on, and at that point it had been many years. The freeways probably would have been impassable. The roads would have been impassable. Would have had growth and stuff all over the place. But the thing that I kept thinking about, and it actually happened, it reminded me of House of the Dragon. When I said in our video on House of the Dragon, I said, why is it that Rhaenyra would not attack King's Landing? Because in my mind, I knew that Vhagar was too big to be hidden anywhere.
Here you go beating this horse.
But hold on though. But I'm making my point. And I knew that Vhagar would be in the open field, and Vhagar is so old, and I always felt like if Rhaenyra had went over there with 3 dragons, they could have attacked Vhagar before it even got off the ground, because I knew it was going to be in the open. And I said that at about the 2nd episode, and then later on in the season, about the 5th or 6th episode, we see down Vhagar sitting in the open field when we saw what was his name go hop on the Aemon go hop on the horse like a mile out the city to go get on the hill. But this is what I was saying. When I saw them leave, all I could think about was they have no map quest. They got a map. They have no form of communication if things go wrong. Like, let's just say everything was going great, but the car broke down. What do you do? And that's exactly what happened. She said that not only did my boyfriend get killed, but it took me a long time to get back here because I had to walk back on foot because the car broke down. And that's all I could think about was, what if you don't have no two-way radios or anything? And in some ways, that was even unrealistic. Could you imagine a young girl like that walking by herself, taking 2 months to walk, ain't nobody found you? Nobody.
And keep in mind, Patrick, that ain't the only mountain lion that came to the community. Ain't the only mountain lion that was out there in the woods.
You're right.
This girl should have been eaten a long time ago. She shouldn't. The writers were very unrealistic. I mean, if this was Walking Dead, Rick would have never tolerated such madness.
So I think that's a perfect segue into everybody give their gripe. Save your overall rating to the end, but what was a gripe? And I guess you might as well start, Carter, since you transitioned us. Go ahead.
Well, it was a lot of gripes. One of them is part of the beginning, they were talking about being very sensitive about having weapons and being careful when they went into town or went shopping and like that. And they was in the store and they were saying, hey, let's protect ourselves. We don't know what the unknown. And then as time jumped, there was no security protocol in place. They were very lax, letting everybody in. Kumbaya, wasn't anybody being vetted. I think it was just very sloppy writing to not have a security mind there. And then it seems like, it really wasn't any sense of weapon when the opposing team came on. They showed the weapons at some point, but it was just a lot of sloppiness, and I didn't like the lack of protocol that was going on in that whole thing surrounding around security. That kind of just really bothered me. And another thing is the wife writing the address on every wall in the city. You might well just come and say, eat all of us and kill all of us, because she was letting everybody know where they live at. You and I had a conversation about there should have been a staging area. She should have had an address where they met people to vet people, and then you bring them in. Here she is, and she a black woman. And what black woman would do such naive, foolishness? That ain't nothing a black woman would have done. I don't know what kind of black woman she was. She most definitely wasn't from Georgia.
Oh my God.
I agree. That sign should have been removed a long time. As soon as Ish found out about it, he should have went and changed the numbers. Changed the numbers behind her back. I like the idea of a staging area. That's pretty smart. But
yeah, I that was my gripe. The writing the address on the thing, like why would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. And then like you said, like even like in I Am Legend, and we talked about this before, Will Smith had that area where he told people to meet me at the dock. And then he was very cautious about inviting people to his home. He would put that bleach stuff down in front of his doorway and all of that. And like you said, I just didn't understand why she did that. What was one of your gripes, Hilaire? Was that yours?
Oh man, my overall, I guess, overarching gripe is trying to adapt a story from 1949 to modern audiences and make it cohesive, make it actually make sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think it landed. I think sometimes you don't have to make a show everything that doesn't have to be adapted to a TV show. Or maybe, like you said, if there's a little bit more episodes, and maybe it could flesh out the story some more. But I really dislike the time jumps. I felt like they would dump some stuff on us, and then the time jumps would just erase all the feelings or emotions that may have come along with that. The rats, they came through like a wave real quick. They did show that the cats came through and kind of helped clear them up. But that just goes to show that early on was letting me know that I thought there would be more nature involved. So or just nature trying to reclaim its territory involved. So when the mountain lion showed up, I was like, okay, here we go again. We got some nature coming in. Nature should be a lot bigger part, a bigger aspect. Like Dr. Carter said, that's not the only mountain lion. They should have been contending with nature. I mean, I'm contending. We just had snow here in Georgia, right? I got tree limbs breaking down in my yard, and all kind of nature is just a beast. So now I'm almost scared of snow. So they should have just like showed more of the effects that nature had on, especially the animalistic nature, because mountain lions and stuff, bears and stuff, that's real things. And when that mountain lion attacked him, I just thought it would be a lot more. I thought it'd been a lot more. Yeah. Like Dr. Carter said, he bounced back up. Everything next episode, it was good to go. And also when the sickness came back, I thought that would have a larger impact, and it seemed like that just kind of
got brushed over almost.
Yeah, got brushed over. She came back with magic berries.
She
came back with the magic berries, and I guess
and right on time, right? And right on time.
But that gave it to me kind of a science fiction element all of a sudden with these magic berries, and I just thought that was just a difference in tone. And so, and I know they weren't magic berries, but to me, that's what they were. I'm pretty sure I think that they magic berries they were.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the things with animals happen. It just was off screen. Because remember they talked about the bear tearing up half the house.
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't remember that?
No. What happened?
I just think animals would add so much layer of.
Oh, and they was like, you got to stay in the house that's tore down because the bear. Oh yeah.
Right, like that type of stuff that adds a whole element of just fear and anxiety. Even just the anxiety, it doesn't have to be total fear, but the anxiety of like, yo, what's that noise? A rat's back? Like that's a lot of rats.
Yeah, I would say I second everything everybody was saying. If I had to choose one that was like overarching, I'm choosing this one because I think we saw it in all of the episodes. I think it was Ish's naivete or not. What's the word?
You got it, naivete. Yeah.
Like from the writing on the walls, I would have put my foot down as a man and said, if we're going to put that up, we're going to have a staging area. Even when I remember when the sexual assault occurred with Evie, right? They saw how that dude was looking at her. And then this is the thing, as a man and as a father, if I was going to let newcomers come to our town, Evie, you're staying in the house with us at night. You're not about to stay in that little shed out there. That's how he was able to sexually assault her, was that she was sleeping in that shed by herself. And we all know that when you even shit, even if I got relatives spending the night, my antennas are up. You know what I'm saying? And the sleeping arrangements may change in my house because I didn't see too much, heard too much stuff going on in my life. You know, and it just seemed like he did a lot of different things that as a man, I wish he would have put his foot down a little bit more just around different things, or he just seemed to not fully have it going on. Another situation for me that he did that was weird to me was when he went hunting with the new guy. In my mind, I mean, I knew that Ish had plot armor because we know that he hangs around. But in my mind, I'm thinking, what if this dude shot you while you guys are hunting intentionally, said it was an accident, and then takes over your compound, takes your wife, and all of these other kind of things? Because it was obvious that that dude was judging him from the moment they got in there. When he told him lift that heavy machine thing, when they were digging for the water, he's like, "You lift it now." He wanted Ish to see, "Oh, look at you, you can't even lift it." You know, and then when Ish is like, "Oh, my shoulder hurt," just simple things. You don't let another man know your weaknesses, especially
This
when you
is very
have
interesting.
what you mean?
Just to hear all of this, it just reminds me of that a video I saw where a couple is walking down the street and the woman is singing Taylor Swift songs in her head,
and the man is paying
and the man
attention.
is like, "Okay,
He's
this
got
dude
his
is
hand
look
in his
funny."
pocket.
This, and I'm just like,
But you know, Patrick, going back, you mentioned Evie. Let's go back when Ish first met Evie. Now that was a point of
I was about to say that too. Yeah.
When he go nearly running off into the woods,
right,
chasing her, not knowing what danger he could have been bum rushed or ambushed or whatever.
I thought he was running into a trap. I really did.
That's what I thought. Here he go running to the woods and not know what the danger were. I mean, come on, that was irresponsible.
They didn't have any
black
people on this writing staff writing this show.
Yeah, that was very irresponsible, because as soon as I saw it, I thought it was a trap. And then secondly, when his wife said to him, "You got to go find her people," and they went out there again, because it could have been a setup. But then once again, like I said, and we said in our video, if I find a little girl, it was obvious she was in a bad condition. I don't want to meet those adults who were supposed to be caring for her, because obviously they were not quality people.
What are we finding her people for?
Yeah, what, to bring them back to the compound?
She's been abused.
Yeah, like we're not finding those people. But you know, so it was some little things. Like overall, I would say one of the main reasons I did enjoy the show was the community of like LA watched it. You watched it, Carter. Margot's not on with us today, but she would watch it, and we were all looking for something to watch together since From was over. And we were looking for something. And we also watch Silo. Most of us do. But let's go ahead and let's talk about our overall season rating. Would you give it out of a 10, right? How many, what is going to be our barometer, our measuring stick? At first it was how many rats would you give it, because of all the rats we had. It was 1 to 10.
How many mountain lions?
Yeah.
There you go.
How many mountain lions?
How many mountain lions would you give it from 1 to 10? And you go back to that website that you was clicked on, because I'm looking at IMDb. If you scroll up all the way up to the top, they had their rating. Go back to that first
6.2 out of 10 on
Rotten Tomatoes.
No, it was higher than that, LA. It was higher than that.
So,
oh yeah. So while she's looking,
they
so
have
Carter,
6.2 out of 10.
Okay,
yeah.
So hold that. So Carter, what was yours? How many mountain lions out of 10 would you give it?
I would give it a 6, because I like the way that the show concluded with them meeting a bigger community. I was glad that they got out of the isolation, and they were showing that civilization was rebuilding itself when they made that connection with that other community, and they showed that they aged. I kind of like that. I like shows that end off with some hope and some inspiration that society can recover after devastation. You know, one of my gripes about Walking Dead is that it just stays so disconnected from society for so long until the end. On this show, even though they did time jumps, and I think about 50 years went by,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Uh,
during that last one, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
that was his. He was walking with his grandson, wasn't he?
right.
Yeah.
He was telling the story to his grandson. Yeah,
Yeah.
about
And so 50 years go by, and now you see them get together. But I give it a six lions, 6 lions.
And then you said something interesting, Carter, when we were talking about it last time, because we were talking about From and MGM, and you said that I think you said Phil, you thought it was a filler show as they wait for talk about that a little bit, because From, when you talk about like From, that's like MGM's bread and butter, right? Because when the season ended, it was a running joke all over YouTube that I'm canceling my MGM. Because a lot of people, that's why they claim that they have it. But what quickly talk about that real quick if you want to, Carter. And
Well,
then
I think that this show had the terrible writing and all of this is because it's a filler show. They were in the holiday season. They didn't want to lose the momentum and the connection of their subscribers. And they threw in a show that they knew that was a quickie. This was a real quickie and then they try to use bits and pieces from other shows that had a little bit excitement in it. So they threw it in there, and they constantly gave us Cortis Interruptus with various situations, but it was just a filler show. And when you realize that it was a filler show, that's all it was, your frustration level goes down. Now, if it was a show that you thought that they were trying to extend it to season 2, 3, or something like From, then we could legitimately be frustrated. That's why I gave it a 6, because I knew it was just a filler show, and for a filler show, it gets a 6.
okay. Yeah, and I wanted you to share that because it was so interesting when we were talking about it. When you said that, I thought it was such an interesting perspective. So I wanted the viewers to be able to hear your thoughts on the LA. What would you give it? How many mountain lions out of 10?
I'll probably say just I'm going to have so 5 mountain lions. I really wasn't that big of a fan. After I started watching, I mean, as this episode started going, I started kind of losing interest. I am happy. I do feel like it's kind of just a throwaway show. That's a filler type show that no one's going to talk about much after in 4 months. Did you watch Earth Abides? And you don't really have. It's not something you go running and tell your friends, hey, it's coming on. It's about to come on. Let's go watch it. So I thought some stuff was just like the time jumps really threw me off. And so many things were unrealistic to me that it kind of just all threw me off. So, but I'd say the same thing. I'd say about 5.
It's like leftover food. I don't want to eat it tomorrow. I have no intentions of going back and watching the show again.
Right. And just for the record, I would have partied with that couple inside Vegas so damn hard.
I know, right? She was throwing herself in it.
He was like, "No, thank you." Shoot.
I was like, at least come on with me or something. You know what I'm saying? I was like, come on with
you. She didn't want to go.
That man, she was trying to stay. So how many lions would you give it, Candy? Mount Lions.
I would say 7.
Mm-hmm.
I really did like the show. I mean, the story was, to me, it was engaging. A lot of times when you have these shows that are like dystopian, it kind of focuses so much on what happened, why did it happen, and this, but we got a chance to see the other side of where it was more humanistic. We got to see people building community and what that would be like in a situation like that. So I really did like the show. I liked the acting in the show. The acting was really, really good. Now, was the writing, I think, like I said, the writing was really unrealistic. Like, I don't think, not to put racial stuff on it, but I don't think any Black woman would put the address of where they are so everybody can come and see. That's just so unrealistic to me. But I just feel like if they would have had more episodes or stretched it out a little bit more, it could have been a really, really good gripping, show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
But the question would be, what was MGM's purpose with it? And we'll never know, because to make a show, a limited series,
because
6
they
episodes?
said in the beginning it was a limited series. It wasn't like, okay, we're gonna cancel the second season and then just make it a limited. It was like that from the beginning. So I just feel like we could have, if I was a writer on the show or a showrunner, I would be like, okay, let's end it here when we meet the guy, and he's doing his I've been doing a lot of watching things about cults. When he's doing his culty thing, being kind of like very just very positive and kind of sneaky, and let's end the season there, and then next season we'll see how the two are fighting each other, how he's slowly taking over the compound and fighting, and we could have got more into that, like the power dynamics of that. And I just felt like the show could have gone so many other places if we'd had more episodes and more seasons.
But then once again, the question is, what was MGM's purpose with the show? If MGM was like, this is a one thing, and the writers have to work with that. It's not like they went to the book. What are you gonna say, Carter?
I'm just saying, Candace made a good point that that they didn't go into really about what really killed the people in detail. I wish they would have gone into that, because from my observation, this disease must have really killed a whole lot of black men, because there wasn't no black men on this show for 50 years. Where were all the black men on this show for 50 years? It must have been a disease that killed the black men, because I only saw one black man on the whole show for 50 years.
Yeah.
One black woman too, right? Shoot.
Yeah, it must have been a disease that killed black folks.
They finally found a way, Carter.
I wanted to get in it. I told this to Patrick before. I was like, where's the black men?
And that's that is very true, because like you would think that even if a disease is going on like that, even if it killed 90% of the world, that still leaves millions of people left.
Yes.
Millions on top of millions of people. And it would have been nice to see, more of that interaction and kind of what was going on. As my rating, as we get ready to wrap it up, I'm gonna go with, similar to yours, Candace. I'm gonna go with seven Mountain Lions, and I'm giving it some grace because it was a limited series. It's obvious that MGM was working with specific time constraints and probably a budget, so that was very obvious. There was some entertaining moments. Like I said, the thing I enjoyed a lot was talking to people like Carter in LA, like, yo, what did you think about that? What did you think about the rat scene? What did you think about this? And just having good conversation, because you also get a chance to see how people's perspectives may be different based on like their life experiences. Mm-hmm. Like when I tell people, like, it's no way that and like Margot, like earlier on, we were talking about like the trust, how trusting she was. And I don't think Margot fully was understanding why I had these trust issues with the way that Emma was getting down. But then once it happened, the sexual assault occurred to Evie, she saw what I was saying, because she had this distorted perception that if we're nice and we share our resources, people will be kind. But at the end of the day, when men are gonna men. Men don't want just food and water, especially when they see you got your women. So you get a chance to see people's perspectives based on their life experiences. And that's what I enjoyed a lot about the show. And then also we got a chance to interview Jorge about the show and things like that, which was really, he was actually our first person that we've interviewed on the channel that is an actor in the show that we watch. Mm-hmm. And then later on, we had a chance to interview the man in yellow from mm-hmm. But
Douglas
Rodrigo was our first person. So definitely want to show him some love for joining the channel.
Nice.
Yeah. But LA, Brother Carter, want to thank y'all so much for joining us. Are there any shows that you guys are looking forward to watching now that we don't have Earth Abides? What are you watching, LA?
And
Dr.
Silo's
Carter.
Over.
Yes, and Silo's over too. Damn, man. And Silo was good. We about to do a Silo video too, but damn, that was a good.
I gotta get on to Silo. I had a dream recently about Lovecraft Country, and I really
nobody listens to me. It is a good show. You just got to power through the first episode. But if you like horror, if you like science fiction, you don't see a lot of Black people in sci-fi / magical realism. You know what my favorite episode is? The Jigabobo episode with the little girl.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? I'm trying to get him to see it.
Mine is the Tulsa. I love the Tulsa episode.
Oh my God, the Tulsa episode.
Man, Patrick, you gotta
watch this show.
It's too late because it came out 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
What am I watching it for? Because like, I want to watch Yellow Jackets, because Candace, I watched some
good.
Of it. I watched third season. And I gotta. When does the third season start?
It's on
February.
Valentine's Day.
All right, so we got to catch up. So like I got to spend my energies on that. So and then we watched that show on Netflix that was really good. What was the name?
American Primeval.
Did y'all watch American Primeval on Netflix?
I watched it. Yeah,
wasn't that good, Carter?
It sure was.
Yeah.
It was super good. But it was 6 episodes, but it was good. So we're gonna try to watch that. Yellow Jackets.
I can get down with Yellow Jackets. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and then what are you, Carter? You say you're gonna try to catch up on it too, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Yellow Jackets. I'm looking at that.
I don't know how you're gonna take it. Talk about it. It's been out for some years, so you're gonna go back and.
No, season 3 is about to start.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you watch the 2 seasons, I mean, by the time we can talk about season 3, and we have at least a reference of what is going on in the show.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the plan, because we did the same thing with Silo. Like we had tried to watch Silo, but then it didn't really hold our interest.
It was one of those shows that you have to pay attention to, and I think that's hard for me sometimes. It's like, okay, get off your phone and pay attention, especially when there's.
But season 2, it kicked it up a notch. Once they got into the second episode, I was all in on Silo. I was like, this is some good stuff. But yeah, audience, what are you guys watching? Leave a comment below. What was your favorite moment from the show Earth Abides? What was your gripe with the show? How many mountain lions will you give the show? And as always, we will see you in the next video, because our watch has ended. Peace. LA, hold on, and Brother Carter, hold on.